So we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Jody Moldow,
Here.
Michelle Bauer-Bean,
Present.
Geronimo Gayton,
Present.
Paul Vieira, present. Ethan Kim,
Absent.
okay. Can I get someone to make a motion to approve the agenda?
This is Jody. I so move.
Second.
All in favor by saying aye?
Gangrene.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone
Oh,
else?
it's Jody.
Aye.
And then I think we're waiting on Jody.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public comments? 1.3, any invitation to address the board? Okay. Can I get someone to make consent items? Can I get someone to make a motion to approve October 23rd, 2023 board meeting?
This is Jody. So moved.
Can I get a second?
Paul.
Second.
Geronimo, second.
Not at the
Paul.
Yes.
This is actually for all the consent items. You just
Okay.
need to say, yeah, for all the consent items.
Okay, let's start over. Can I get someone to make a motion to approve tonight's consent items 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3?
This is Jody. So moved.
This is Geronimo, second.
Okay, all in favor by saying aye. Jody,
Aye.
Michelle Bauer-Bean,
Aye.
Geronimo Gittin,
Aye.
Paul Vieira, aye. Consent items have been approved. Now we're opening up to information discussion session 3.1, the superintendent report.
Fantastic. Well, first of all, belated happy Thanksgiving. Welcome back to everybody. I hope you enjoyed your month without a board meeting. So thank you for being here tonight. It's an important meeting because we do try to give everyone a break in November so that we come back and get everything done before the new year. So thank you for doing that. I want to start off with sort of an exciting news. I'm going to pass this over to Colin. We are launching, it's interesting, about 7 years ago when I came in, we launched a new website. We revamped it. It's been a great website, but over the last 7 years, there's been some things that we knew that we could do better, and for marketing, but also for reaching out to parents and for accessibility for teachers. Colin has really taken the lead on the redesign. We've all been part of the team, Karen and myself, and others have been part of the team, and Luis, but Colin really has led the charge. So I'd love for him to give you a preview of our new website.
All right. So I hope everyone can see the screen. This website is not live yet. It is set to go live on January 1st. So we are finishing up, tying up some loose ends, but this is your sneak preview of the website. I'm just going to run through a little bit. I don't want to take too much time, but this is the district homepage, what it's going to look like with our schools, our transformative practices, and so on. Looking through some of the other items, I mean, it's got our mission and vision, our team. We've got our amazing leadership team here. You can look at
looking mighty young too.
Yes, yes. Looking at some of our bios. We've got information about our model, our theoretical framework. That is the basis for a lot of our programs. And then looking more into our programs, we've got pages about each of our transformative practices here. The district link also links directly to each of our schools, organized by which county that they are in. And we're actively working to upload pictures. Luis is working with each of the technology coordinators at the school sites to get site-specific pictures for each school's website. We've got our amazing board page. Thank you so much to the board members for sending in your photos, and Nemo will get your photo right after this meeting. So We've got that board member page. We're also calling it the spotlight section is really news articles, but we're calling it spotlight because we want to spotlight the great things that are going on at each of our school campuses. So once this goes live, we will have at least 3 current news articles about each school that are going to be running, and then we will archive every article as well, and we'll be highlighting 3 articles on the district website from each of the schools as well. And then we've got the enrollment pages with the application, admissions information, and information about if a family would want to tour our school. So that's a quick 1 to 2 minute run through of the website. Again, it's still in its beta phase, but wanted to give you all that sneak peek before it goes live on January 1st.
Thank you, Colin. Can you just leave it up for a second?
Oh, yep. Sorry.
Yeah. I just want to, so Colin and I bonded many years ago over, if you get hungry watching this, we bonded over food many, many years ago. And all of our favorite websites tended to be restaurant websites. And so this opening really, we call this making pasta. This is the first thing that people will see as they come in there. You know, it's instead of just these stayed videos or a stayed picture of a kid looking at a book, really engaging the viewer. And when you go to each of the school websites, they'll have their own version of this that just sort of marketing. But and then, yeah, congratulations, Colin and Luis, for everything you guys have done. It looks fantastic.
It looks great.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
So moving on from there, we had the entire team show up in Lake Elsinore, and all of the leadership, the entire district leadership came out for the Lake Elsinore public hearing. We all spoke eloquently and beautifully, and they asked us no questions. They didn't do anything. And we all turned around and drove home 2 hours from Lake Elsinore. It wasn't quite that long, but no. So we go back on the 14th where we will find out what their answer is. We still had to get their findings. The truth is that we've already done this one time and they sent us findings. So we addressed everything that they told us in the original findings. And there is a law in place that says you have to do your due diligence. You can't keep finding more things later on. So legally speaking, they really shouldn't have more findings. But given they're looking for something, right? They're going to look for something to deny us. But then we know that we have a great relationship at the county where we'll go if they do deny us. However, we're hopeful that we'd love to work with them. They're lovely people. They have a lovely board. They're very respectful and kind, and we'd love to work with them. We go back on the 14th for that to find out what they decide. Also, Costa Mesa, we've there for the building in Costa Mesa, we went to the building commission, and what we thought was going to be a very, very sort of humdrum, hey, this is a building plan, get approval. They turned it into a 2-hour session that looked like a board meeting. They were talking about everything except for what they're supposed to talk about. Their lawyer kept reminding them, this is supposed to be about the building and about planning commission. This is not supposed to be about charter schools. But we got comments like, well, what's going to happen to my fundraising in my district? I fundraise. Am I going to lose money because of you guys? So it turned into, quite frankly, I'm just going to call it as it is, an illegal board meeting. They broke about every rule you can imagine breaking. And the mayor of Costa Mesa immediately the next day called a de novo review, meaning that he basically threw it out and said, yeah, we're going to give you a proper opportunity to come before the city council, not the planning. Planning is also, just so you know, their recommendation anyway. It still has to go to them. I was featured, as was Trent Spear, prominently in an article this Sunday in the LA Times. about Costa Mesa. But I will say that it was a very fair article. And I think that they treated us incredibly fairly and gave us a very positive view of the situation. So we were happy with the LA Times and their reporting on this issue. We're still very positive that they're going to approve us. There's no reason not to. And at the city council. So we'll be working on that as well. On some more really great news. You guys might remember that last year we received, many schools across the state received a grant for community coordinators. And as part of the community coordinators, they have been an amazing team at all of our schools. We're so grateful for the work they're doing. They really have, it's inspiring how this team at all of our schools have come together to create a great momentum with community. And LACO has now heralded Vista Charter Middle School as a model community school. So congratulations to Dan and also to the community coordinators and the work they're doing. So, and given that LACO had said that we couldn't have a high school recently, we find that this is a lovely validation of the work that we're doing. And out of that work also it's a great Vista Charter Middle School will be hosting the upcoming LA School Choice Fair on January 20th. It's an honor to host that. And it's a great opportunity because we have a lot of people that will be coming here for a variety of reasons, and we'll get to see our school personally. And Palm Lane also was chosen to host the OC School Choice Fair on January 27th. Wow. So big honors to be chosen for that, and a great opportunity to have people visit our schools from all over the counties. And then last on my thing, we when a board member speaks, we listen. Jody at the last meeting, she said, I'm really curious about our restorative practices and what that means and is it working and what's the evidence. So first, I'd like to just say that I'm not the only one who listens. Meredith Branch is one of our assistant principals in Orange County. Without asking any of us, she heard what you asked for. And Colin, if you'd like to put that one up. So after hearing Jody, she said, you know what, I'm going to put something together for Vista Condor. And so this is shared in your report. You can take an opportunity to look at it. This really speaks about all of the different things we're doing to create community and for restorative practices and how this all comes together at a school site. And so Meredith, I just want to, publicly, I want to thank you. I mean, that's for taking that initiative, for listening to the board members, and for putting this together. It's bravo.
Well, thank you, Meredith, very much. It's most appreciated.
As you can see, it's not I'm not going to read it to you. I'm going to let you guys read that on your own time. And then I'm going to talk about this right now, but before I do, well, I'll talk about this. When we talk about restorative practices and what's the impact on our schools, what we're really saying is what's the impact on a child's life? And we cannot transform a life if the student is not here. And we know, working with kids, especially middle school, high school, we know that we are going to encounter problems, especially with kids who come with trauma, issues of poverty, and other things that our kids bring. So when you look at the kind of statistics that we have, those zeros mean something. Those zeros mean that children are being served and that our restorative practices are working. It doesn't mean that we don't have any problems. It doesn't mean that we don't have kids that still come with major issues. What it means is that those kids get served here at school. They're not sent home. They're not being punished by getting to play video games or walking the streets, while they're here. So this is It's also a testament to the work that teachers and administrators do, because those problems stay in the school, and these zeros mean that teachers are working actively and restoratively to help our students become great adults as they move on. So there are a couple of you might see a couple of blips in there, but those are anomalies that we, without speaking in specifics, because it would be breaching some, these are the issues that we had no legal way around those. We were forced through the ed code to do certain things. And then also at Vista Heritage Global Academy, you do see last year a big, but that's the first year the high school was there. Restorative practices are just being implemented. And this year, with the exception of one issue, we have had, we're way down again. And they are actively using those strategies. So congratulations to our teachers, to our administrators, and thank you, Jody, for really allowing us to highlight the kind of work. This is why
Thank you.
people love being at Vista. And Dan, I'm going to pass this over to Dan now for the principal's report. And he's going to give you also, as part of his report, a more personal look at what restorative practices might mean at a local level as well. And you took it away.
All right. Hello, board members. Hello, other principals, and hello, my bosses. Good to see you all. Thank you for this opportunity to share. I just want to talk about three things tonight. I said the whole board report's there, but there's three things I want to highlight. The first one is learning. So at Vista Charter Middle School, we consider ourselves a professional learning community. So we believe in really developing our teachers' capacity to make a difference in the kids' lives. So right now what we're doing, we're finishing up our diagnostic, our middle of the year diagnostic, to really use that data to make sure that we're making a difference in the kids' lives. And one way that we're doing that with learning is with our intervention program. We have a very robust intervention program. Where right now, I believe we're serving 160 students out of our total 374 kids that are getting direct intervention every single day. This year, we're also making a push for not just our struggling students, but the students who are also succeeding and exceeding. So we have global projects that they're working with in our intervention program as well. But like I said, in a professional learning community, we're expecting all our teachers to continually learn. And so we've been working with Leah Raphael from Raphael Consulting to really boost our workshop practices. And our teachers did something the other day called the workshop guided observations, where they went in and learned from each other. They watched their presentations, they watched the lessons the teachers did. They came back into the office, debriefed, and went back and applied the learning right away. We're really trying to incorporate like learning professionally every single day with our teachers to make a difference in their lives. We have something that we do twice a year here that I think is one of my favorite things, and that's what we call home visits. So recently, one of our ways that we engage our family is we go to their homes and celebrate their students. A lot of schools do this in a punitive way. We do it in a way to kind of celebrate our kids. So when we go, the teachers come together, they collaborate, they figure out which kids either approved behaviorally or academically, or we just want to celebrate them. We go to the parents' house, and the parents are so blessed when they come in. There's tears, there's coffee, there's food. They're just so welcoming. And I really believe that, like, for me, I've got so many great stories that I would love to share. I don't want to take up all the time, but there are some amazing things and some really great relationships that we build with our families. But like Mr. Wilson said, one of the things I kind of want to highlight today is our restorative practices. This is something we put a huge focus on this year. So starting in the summer, we brought in the teachers to really kind of talk about what does restorative approach look like. We really went through a bunch of lessons, a lot of dialogue, lots of counsel about what this looks like. So when we started this year, we knew this was the approach we're going to take. Like Mr. Wilson says, we don't want to, sorry, Dr. Wilson. We don't, I kept cringing whenever he said it. But we don't want to send the kids home, but we want to work with the kids. So I remember one time last year, we had two students who got into a fight out on the yard. And it was actually in a classroom. They were really upset. So I pulled one girl in and I'm like, what's going on? What's happening here? Why did you do this? She goes, Mister, I just went up to talk to her, but I just didn't know how to use my words. And my face just went. And so it was at that moment that I realized these kids want to do the right thing. She went to her to talk, but she didn't know how. So we have to teach these kids how to do this. So one thing that we're doing is what we call restorative circles. So anytime when kids get into any argument, anytime there's a rumor, anytime there's anything, our behavior support team goes right to action. Pull all the kids involved and talk to them separately, finding getting one person's side of the story, get the other side of the story, and then we sit in a circle and do counsel. We set agreements ahead of time, letting them know this is what you're going to be doing, and at the end they come to some type of agreement to do that, to no longer have an issue. We've seen a drastic decrease in the amount of issues, but we have also seen the drastic increase in the amount of kids coming to us asking for this circle. So it's a lot of work, but what we're really trying to do is give an alternative to suspension. We want to stop the problems before they become an issue. But when a kid does break a rule and there is an issue, we then still have this. Sometimes we'll bring the parents in, we bring other classmates in and teachers in and restore the relationship once a harm has been done. So overall, like our restorative approach is about relationships, and you can't restore a relationship unless there's one to start. So we put a lot of effort into building the relationships with the kids, and then when things happen, we spend a lot of time making sure that we're rebuilding that relationship, we're building the trust, and letting the kids know we're not getting rid of you. We're here because we care about you, and it's a lot of work, but this is what we believe in. We believe in really making a difference with the kids through relationships and restorative approach. Yeah, and so that's kind of it for restorative practice. If you guys are ever here during the week and you would love to see one, we always have these circles going on. So feel free to join in. Or if you would like to have a restorative circle with either a family member, we could do that as well. So yeah, I did want to shout out two people for my staff spotlight this week, and that was Miss Ramos and Miss Flores, our community school coordinator for both Vista and Horizon. They've been working really hard. They work really hard to bring us the community partners to really booster this school in a way that makes a difference in the community. Vista's goal is to transform the school experience, and we don't mean that just for the students. We mean that for the students, the family, and the staff. And we really want to make this a hub for the community where people come in and say, "Hey, we need help. Here's how we can help." We're doing such a good job in it, like Dr. Wilson said, is in 2024, LACO is going to be bringing schools to come see what we're doing here. So we're very proud of all the work they've been doing. We've made a difference with the kids' lives, and we're looking forward to continue to grow and transform our community. Thank you. That's our report.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now moving on to 3.3, Icon Financial Report.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Here's the financial report for December. We're going to cover two items. The first is we're going to do first interim budget updates. So as you've seen on your action items, the LA schools already submitted their first interims in early November. So we'll be ratifying those. And then I'll be giving you a draft look at the Orange County schools. Those are due by the 13th, and they'll be submitted by that time frame. And then we'll do a quick glance at the October financials. They pretty much align right with the first interims, as first interims are based on October financials. So the first interim we'll look at is the middle school. At the preliminary budget for the middle school, we're looking at an operating income of about $286,000. That's actually gone up at first interim to $350,000. Although the ADA has gone down a bit, just about one ADA point. The reason why it's going up are the utilization of ESSER 2 and ESSER 3, as well about some increase in ALOP. And the bigger one is being your employer retention tax credit that you received this year, as well as the deferred revenue from the end of last year. So although you see some expenditures here, most of these increases are ESSER 2, as we utilized all of the remaining ESSER 2 by September 30th of 2024. And we still have some ESSER 3 as well that will continue to increase, as you have about $1 million at the beginning of the year to spend by September 30th of 2024. And we still have about a little more than half to budget before September 30th. So nice operating income for the middle school. Looking at Vista Heritage, this is comparing not versus the preliminary budget, but the updated budgets we shared in August. So ADA has gone up from that update from 296 to 299. So that increased your ADA, your LCFF revenue. We had the deferred employer retention credit of about $190,000, which is a nice big help. We've input more ELOP expenditures to utilize your full ELOP apportionment. And then the ERC from this year, as well as some refunds from STRS and Young Minion Core. So your revenue for Heritage has gone up about 424,000. Expenditures, though, on the same side have gone up about 272. So staffing at Heritage has gone up a bit. We've had some part-time roles that have become full-time. And we've added a couple of intervention aides, TAs, so that's gone up a bit. But overall, we've been able to increase your net income from the updated budget about 52,000 to 204. Now, this is really driven, I want to make sure I call this out, by your employee retention credit. So those two are what's driving your operating income for this year. In our 2 out-year projections, they still have Heritage in a nice positive income, but it will involve making sure we hit some enrollment numbers. For both out years, an increase about 25 students. So next year, 375 or 350, and the year after that, 375 students for Heritage. Vista Condor, similar story. So they focused on attendance, making sure kids are showing up to school each day, and that's starting to show up in the numbers. So the updated budget we shared with you in August, September had an ADA of about 313. Through November, they're about 317. So a nice increase, about 4.5 ADA points. In LCFF revenue, that's about $76,000. Looking across the board, again, prior year deferred revenue for an employer tax credit is about 172. Current year, it's one about another 45,000. We already included that in the updated budget. So this 45 is kind of on top of that. And then in other state revenue, the ADA increases for SPED revenue, and then increases in LOP and your community schools program. So we had budgeted a certain amount. Folks came in a little bit higher based on their health benefits and some expenditures. So we moved that up a bit. So we'll be, we balanced that out in the second year. Looking at total expenditures, they've gone about 234,000. So a nice positive increase again for Condor from 85,000 to 241,000 for Vista Condor. So a nice between 3 and 5%. Vista Horizon, it's kind of trended in the opposite direction, unfortunately. So in the updated budget, we were looking at about 144 enrollment and a 132 ADA. Through November, they were at 127.88, so just about 4.5 ADA points less than we were projecting. And as an elementary school and the lower grades, you get some additional funding for like that TK Kinder. So it's about $62,000. Federal revenue overall, you're pretty much flat. We did add some arts and music that we received this year. So other state revenue is up a little bit. And then other local revenue, which includes your SPED, as LAUSD puts it under local revenue instead of other state. So you're kind of flat. But overall, a decrease about 40,000. When we look at staffing, we did add, an office clerk and some additional support for those students. So overall increases about 50. Net income is about $10,417. So it's gone down a bit, it's much tighter. But as long as I know there's a big focus now on enrollment, on everyday attendance. So as long as you can kind of grow this, this number, your operating income will go up at the end of the year. Palm Lane, pretty flat, a little bit reduction. We've been pretty comfortable with them, so we didn't do an updated budget. Based off of the preliminary budget, they're down 388 points. It's about $50,000. Federal revenues are up a little bit. They did get ACEs, which we did not include in the preliminary budget because at that point in early June, we weren't sure if they were going to be granted the ACEs grant, but they did. So that increased their overall revenue in other state by about 74. They got their employment retention credit this year. So that's a nice increase in other local revenues. So total revenues went up by about 223,000. When we look at expenditures, we did some additional ALOP purchases. Internet's one we're going to keep an eye out on. So I know they've kind of got through the E-rate process. So some of those credits may be coming back later in the year, but current expenditures, I had to increase their internet expenditure. So that's what's kind of gone up. So expenditures went up about 200, but overall they were able to increase their net income from 341 to 364,000. Now, the tough school is Vista Meridian, as you know, as enrollment has been a struggle this year. Their ADA, though, from the updated has gone up a bit, about just over 2 ADA points from 159 to 161. So overall revenue is up about $50,000. On the expenditure side, we do have some increases. We added an additional van driver as they're still in Santa Ana versus their new location. Consultants for their new building in terms of getting all those plans completed for their planning commission, et cetera. So their net income has gone further down into the red, unfortunately, from 80 to about 137. But the 2 outer years, the tough part for Meridian this year is the fact that they have 3 grades, but their staffing is really kind of set up for, all 4 grades, freshman through senior year. So as they kind of flow into next year, we have positive incomes in the 2 outer years of at least $200,000. So that will kind of help cover this overage currently, as well as then kind of start growing their operating income and their reserve as we move forward. Looking at financials at the end of the year. So this will be comparing against these first interim updates. When we look at the middle school, on track, books and supplies are a little bit above, but those are those early year purchases we've been talking about as well. And then some of those are ESSER 2, ESSER 3, so we'll be able to kind of, some of them remain ESSER 3 expenditures, we'll be able to cover them. So overall, on track for the middle school. The balance sheet for the middle school, as always, is nice and healthy. At the end of October, they had just under $6 million cash in the banks and clearing account. Total assets of just under 15 million, liabilities just under 8, so total equity about $7 million for the middle school. Looking at Heritage, this is the one we're going to take a deeper dive. Although we increased salaries in that first interim, they're still slightly above track, both on certificate and classified. So when we look at Condor, you'll see it a little bit below. So I think it's just making sure that we're capturing those splits appropriately. So they're a little bit above. Benefits are on track. Books and supplies, again, above pace, but again, it's those early year purchases. Services are on track, but I'm not concerned about Heritage and where they're at this point in the year. Balance sheet for Vista Heritage at the end of October, just under $2 million. Assets of 28.3, which includes the facility. When you look at the liabilities, 26.1 million, which also includes the facility bond. Total equity about 2.1 million. Looking at Condor, again, on track, but as you see these numbers on the staffing side, we expect them to be around 33 and they're below 30. So that's where I think we need to make sure we're capturing those splits correctly. Books and supplies above pace, but again, those early year purchases I think will balance out. On track everywhere else. So overall, a good spot for Vista Condor. Vista Condor's balance sheet at the end of October, just under $3 million cash in the bank and the county treasury. Total assets of 24.3, again, includes the facility, liabilities 21.6, and equity of 2.7 million. Horizon, so even though it's a tight budget, they've done a good job of trying to maintain and manage their expenditures. So they're on track, salaries, employee benefits, books and supplies are above, but when you compare it to the other schools, they're not as far above as the other schools. So they're in a good pace to make sure they come in on track or even under. And then the 5,000 series, they're in a very good spot. So I think, even though it's a tight first interim, they'll end up in a good position at the end of the year. Balance sheet for Horizon, at the end of October, they had just about $750,000. Assets of 1.1 million, liabilities of 336, so equity of just about 850,000. Palm Lane, very strong position, so on track across the board. Yeah, they're healthy and good. The only thing I do want to point out is in the 5,000 series, even though they're showing 19% versus current year, is they haven't made any facility payments. Generally with Anaheim, they do that payment at the end of the year when they wrap up and reconcile P2. So we just want to make sure that this number stays healthily below being on track to make sure that they're able to absorb that facility payment at the end of the year. So right now they're in a good spot. Their balance sheet's pretty healthy. So at the end of October, $5.5 million cash in hand, assets about 6.7, liabilities about just about $1 million, so equity about 5.6. Meridian, so first payments out from Pensec is in October. Those weren't received till early November, so you're not seeing those impacts yet right now. Expenditures to debt about 957,000. So that's why you see that big negative number. And so I'm not even gonna talk about their balance sheet because right now all of it is, it's a cash loan from Vista Middle School. Outstanding checks, so over 60 days, these are the checks. We'll make sure we get these out to the school principals to follow up with their employees to make sure they cash their checks, or if need be, we can reissue them
Outstanding check.
as well. And you do, Don, yes. You're on there. And then the October register that we sent out. So those are the financials for today. Thank you.
Check, I gotta find that one.
Thank you. But my computer had refreshed, so let me click back on to the agenda. Okay, so now we're moving to 3.4. Thank you, Arturo. Now we're moving to 3.4, the BC Construction Group presentation.
All right, so I'm going to do a really quick introduction. We have a special presentation today by BC Construction Group and Orchid Winslow. We actually met them over the summer at the National Charter School Conference, and they've been great collaborators ever since. They're going to be talking about some of the work and planning that we've been doing in Lake Elsinore. You've heard about the charter petition. We've shared some information about that. But at the same time, as we work to get the charter approved, we're also doing a lot of research and due diligence within the community, making sure that we're able to find a really great location for the school and are able to construct it in time for when we plan to open. So without further ado, I want to introduce Chip, Tara, and Vinny. Take it away.
It's great to meet all of y'all. We've enjoyed working with Colin, Don, and Karen so far. It's nice meeting y'all too. I'm Chip Harp with BC Construction Group. I'm joined by Vinny Michaelesco, who's our VP of Operations, and Tara Grenier, who's with Orchid Winslow. And it's really nice to watch y'all's board meeting and see what you do. We're all very much invested in school choice and respect what you do, especially the uphill struggle you have in trying to get charters approved and everything else. And we appreciate having the opportunity to be a part of what y'all are doing. If y'all are okay, I would like to try to share a presentation we put together for you on Lake Elsinore. Are you good with that, Colin?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, all right. Can you see my screen?
No, wow. It says
Can y'all
your
see
name.
that?
There you go.
Yes.
Now we do.
Yeah, that's I'm afraid that's me. Yeah. So this is Lake Elsinore. This is a bad picture of me and a good picture of Tara for your project leadership team. And Vinny's on here as well, who'll be very involved in the project. So I apologize for that. We're BC Construction Group. If Colin has not shared, we are a national design build firm. We have a division that Vinny and I run that concentrates on charter schools. We're very much on the school choice movement and want to do what we can do to partner with schools and, as Colin said, collaborate and be your partner in delivering these schools and facilities to you, help you grow outside of California if that's what you choose, and also work with the projects that you have locally in Southern California. We have a total program management execution process that we bring to bear for you. You can a la carte this as needed and as far as what you need to do, but we can provide a school or school network like yours a full development services option menu, so you can save the money of having a developer and use your great balance sheet and income statements to develop yourself and save millions of dollars on each of these projects. So that's what BC tries to do. Orkut Winslow has done a great amount of work in charter segment and other education. They're a fantastic partner with us. As a design builder, we could have an internal design firm that we work with, but we choose to use outside firms like Orkut because it gives us more of a dynamic presentation to schools and opens us up to different experiences. They have a national, there we go, a national footprint as well, which is important, especially as y'all want to move your great schools to other states and areas. That said, knowing we are, have a short amount of time, we want to present this to you in a summary form. Please understand that when we finish, we will present you this full package in a PDF form, and then a follow-up with that, which I explained to Colin. So with that, I wanted to make sure that you understood that we understand what's needed at Lake Elsinore. We're working within your budget and pro forma constraints to give you what you need over a specific amount of time. So we're going to present a phased approach to this based on our conversations with Colin. So that said, Tara, please go ahead.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. On behalf of Orca Winslow, thank you for allowing us to be part of the presentation tonight. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this because, as it's been mentioned, all of this will be shared. But just to kind of back up a little bit on what you're looking at here is, as Colin had mentioned, we met with your team back in August and have been working to develop kind of what that program for a TK through 1200 capacity campus would look like. And so we understand here, as shown on the program summary, kind of the high level, desires of the campus there. So it would have one facility that would have two distinct separation between actually grades TK through 5 and then 6 through 12. We've kind of listed out at a very, very high level what would be included at the elementary school, which is inclusive of about 20 classrooms, some of the specials, administrative space, interior and exterior student dining, and playgrounds and support spaces, as well as multi-purpose space. And then on the opposite side of that would be the middle high school. Again, it kind of spells out here. It would have its own separate entrance, administration, about 28 classrooms, some other specials that are identified here, its own administration, interior and exterior dining. And then the building common area would be kind of the shared principal suite that would oversee kind of both campuses, as well as a competition gymnasium and multi-purpose room. Total for all of these, each one of these areas is over here on the right hand of the screen, so you can see the net versus proposed gross square footage. So we're looking at a full build out of needing about 120,000 square feet to serve that 1,200 student capacity.
Terry, you just muted your mic.
Whoops, sorry. These next couple of pages, that'll be in the information that you'll be receiving, but this is a very detailed program. Again, please note that this is very high level conceptual. So we have gotten feedback from Colin and some other team members, but certainly there's room for continued collaboration. So Chip, if you could advance to the floor plans. So again, these are not set in stone. So just wanted everybody to know that, there is collaboration that we would love to have the opportunity to do with the group. But what we've done here is provide a conceptual floor plan given the program that we have developed. And so we have on the bottom kind of the elementary, which would be a proposed 2-story. Phase 2 is kind of showing the middle high school. Again, that would be a 2-story element. The connector that's kind of in the green and the peach, that's the student dining, the competition gym, and kind of that administrative function. And then phase 3 would be the competition gym. So again, the plans could completely change, but we just wanted to kind of get a starting footprint so we could do some site analysis on a couple of the proposed sites that we looked at.
Before you
Can you
go
go-
forward, I would like to underline what you just said, Tara, that this is conceptual. So we've shown Colin and Karen and Don some preliminary concepts with this. All of this is based on the programming. So if we, if y'all choose to engage us to go forward, then we'll get down to brass tacks on what the design should be. And the way we work is very interactive. So we will have feedback on what you need versus what the budget allows. And that's how we work. We want to make sure that you stay within what your affordability states and that we have the program that you need to do the job you have to educate kids. So I wanted to make sure this is a kind of a high level area, but we would be down to business on it later on.
Right. So we had gone in with the group and was looking at what I was calling site option 1, which was a site that was located very close proximity to the downtown Lake Elsinore area, great lakefront views. We started going through a due diligence, and when we went to meet with the city of Lake Elsinore and their economic development director, there was not only this site that was discussed, and there was some hesitation about the city of relinquishing this property just because they have some other visions for it, but they started sending us various other sites that were possibilities for exploration. So these next few slides is just basically showing, that we had done a kind of a test fit with the program. The building footprint is a little bit different here because it's been modified, but we looked at over 6 sites, kind of narrowed it down after we did our initial presentation to Colin, and we ended up coming up to this site 2, which is provided a much better site for the long haul. It has 11 acres and abuts to one of the public schools there, but has great frontage off of the main roadway, is not very far from the downtown area, very close proximity, and is fairly level. So there's not a lot of site development there's still site development that would have to happen, but it's not as a lot of it's not on floodplain, which was what we were finding out a lot of the other sites that we were looking at. So we kind of took this and then started redeveloping it based off of some, oh, well, this is interesting. Sorry about that, but this slide is showing rotated for some reason. I'm not sure why, but we started we started looking at doing a conceptual phased approach. So we had phase 1, which would essentially be, as I mentioned before, about a 35,000 square foot footprint. And then building area is about 55,000 square feet. So we had phase 1 being the elementary school, along with a multi-purpose room and the cafeteria space. And then it would have some obviously outdoor space, some outdoor sports courts, and then we have some parking. Phase 2 would come back, if you flip to the next slide, Colin. Or I'm not sorry, Colin, Chip.
No, I got you. There you go.
Okay,
And
so
it's been
now
rotated correctly.
now it's been rotated correctly. I'm not sure what happened there. So phase 2 would be the middle high school component, which is added that kind of bar across the top, and then we would add additional parking that would be appropriate for that addition, and then kind of complete the inner courtyard. And then you can kind of see there's green space left around the campus. Phase 3 would be coming back and adding the multi-purpose gym or competition gym. You could also at that time add outdoor field area, which is up there towards the north. As you can see, there is quite a bit of green space up there. So we've just kind of shown some high level kind of turfed areas, but obviously you have room to add some different types of amenities or sports if so desired. So this is showing that full build out at 120,000 square feet. You would need roughly about 205 parking spaces. There's plenty of space on this site to accommodate that. So as we went through this kind of phased approach, we also looked at just, again, these are conceptual elevations. We recognize that there is a very strong presence of the Pechanga tribe in the area. When we met with the city of Lake Elsinore, they had mentioned the influence of the native tribal community there, and had suggested that we have some initial conversations with them at the appropriate time and early on in the process, just to probably help the process more than hinder it. And so they had suggested if there was any way that we could take some cues from the tribe and integrate it into the design, that would probably, be very favorable to the tribe. So we did a couple of conceptual elevations that just show some of their influencing from their heritage and the basket weaving and the reeds on the next page, which is elevation 3. And so again, these are high level conceptual, just to kind of give you a vision of what it could look like. And I think with that, it brings us to the budget, which I'll turn it over to Vince.
Go
There,
ahead, Vinny.
so a couple things on a high level schedule. There are some things obviously out of our control as a design builder, so we can put a rough timeline for it. We would need to be working as partners with you and understand the process. But obviously getting the charter, getting the land secured, any entitlement process, any rezoning, that's pretty much something that would be an owner deliverable type item that we would need to be working hand in hand with our design, and we don't want to wait too long for it. Obviously, you have to have your land secured, but a lot of this does assume that we would be moving forward with design once we're at a certain level, early enough in the process so we don't end up compressing the construction later. So, funding secured, releasing design, the design process, we probably have about a 6 to 8 month overall period. So the sooner we could get released on that and go through the different levels of review, we will be budgeting along the way as the design progresses against the predetermined budget. So if there's any on, we take an open book approach. So we're constantly designing, still always back checking towards a budget. So, initially we have this showing as if we were released, in the near future, it could be a 25 delivery for the start of the 25 school season. Budgeting, what we've done is we've taken our historical similar greenfield new school projects and obviously did a multiplier for both time and market region, to get a range of cost per square foot. So you see these are different, all schools that were either recently completed by us or back-checked outside of our scope. The first handful of schools are ones that we've recently completed and done a regional adjustment to get this budget range. So we feel confident about being able to deliver within that cost per square foot range. This is a budget that our estimating team, John Eluk, who's our chief estimator, put together based on some of the original budget information. So we use our historical data that we have for the different systems against the quantities on the current real rough design to be able to also back check the costs. Now, to clarify, we have it set up as 3 phases. As design builders, we'd love to nothing more than to build one big school for you all at once. But this is where Chip and the finance side comes in to say, based against what you're projecting for, the student count over the years, it's not as if you're going to have full capacity from day one. So to have an economical projection, Chip, it looks like a 2 to 3 phase. So we're just showing that, being realistic, that if it takes 2 to 3 phases, we would design that into the project, and we would also logistically plan that in. So we have the design is done in advance to be separable and also logistically in the field to have a safe separation of the build in an occupied facility, which, you know, we've recently done, and we've got that experience. So knowing that money pretty much dictates most of what we all do, a realistic 3-phase over a 3-year process is what seems the most reasonable where we stand right now. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chip. If it was quicker, we could do it quicker, but it comes down to money, right?
Well, yeah, we were looking, again, to finish up, we were looking at what Colin was talking about. We can condense this, as Vinny said. We asked Tara and her team to design it so we could phase it and not disrupt the current school activity on a certain part of the campus. So that's how it's built. But let me state this. This is a proposal to start the process. We've done a lot of work at this point. We appreciate, again, Colin and the team, but we're ready to get to work with y'all. And I think we can solve the problems necessary to get this thing going. So with that, we would turn it back over to you, Colin.
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation, Chip, Vinny, and Tara. And again, thank you for your collaboration on this. All right, if there are no board questions, I'll hand it back to Paul.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. And now we're going to move to action items. Right. So 4.1, can I get someone to make a motion to approve 4.1? The travel and conference attendance cost in the amount of $15,000 to include conference registration fees, travel, hotel, and meals in accordance with our fiscal policies and procedures for the attendance at the Kagan Military Academy Conference in Las Vegas, RSA Conference in San Francisco, and HJ Sims Conference in San Diego during the 2023-2024 school year.
This is Jody, so moved.
Can I get a second? This is Paul, I second. This is Paul, I second. Any discussion? Okay, no discussion. All in favor by saying aye. Jody Molladell,
Aye.
Michelle Bauer-Bean,
Aye.
Geronimo Gaten,
Aye.
Paul Vier, aye. Action item 4.1 has passed. Can I get someone to make a motion to approve 4.2, the 2023-24 Charter School Compliance Monitoring Board review for Vista Charter Middle School and Vista Horizon Global Academy?
Michelle Bauer, so moved.
Geronimo, second.
Any discussion?
This is an annual requirement for the LAUSD approved schools that show that we are in compliance with a number of factors.
Great. All in favor by saying aye. Jody Molladell,
Aye.
Michelle Bauer-Bean,
Aye.
Geronimo Gaten,
Aye.
Paul Vier, aye. Action item 4.2 has passed. Can I get someone to make a motion to approve 4.3, the WEX gas card credit card line increase?
Michelle Bauer, so
This-
moved.
Jody Molladell, second.
Any discussion?
As we've increased our transportation and including Los Angeles and Orange County, we've needed to increase the gas credit cards or the credit line to $20,000.
Very good. Okay, so let's, all in favor by saying aye. Jody Molladell,
Aye.
Michelle Bauer-Bean,
Aye.
Geronimo Gaten,
Aye.
Paul Vier, aye. 4.3 has passed. Can I get a motion to approve 4.4, the Palm Lane 2024-2025 Facilities Use Agreement?
Jody Molladell, so moved. Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle, you go ahead.
No, you got it. I'll second.
Go ahead. Can I get a make?
Oh, Jody
Molladell,
so
to
moved.
approve?
I thought that was it. I thought it was pretty clear.
Or just so we get it
Second.
on the record. If we, yeah. Any discussion?
So we November 1st, we applied for Prop 39 for Palm Lane. On November 30th, Anaheim Elementary School District replied that they accepted our ADA projection. And then the following day, they replied to us basically saying they'd like to scrap the Prop 39 process and then just go straight to a facilities use agreement, which is in line with what we've done previously. So under this agreement, Palm Lane would continue to have use of the entire campus. It is
Yay,
a
that's
slightly
great
higher rate.
news.
Yeah, it is a slightly higher rate, but inflation is inflation. So, but
Thank you.
we'll be able to make it work.
Thank you.
Great, congratulations.
All in favor by saying aye, Jody Mullendale,
Aye.
Michelle Bauer Bean,
Aye.
Geronimo Gayton,
Aye.
Paul Vieira, aye. 4.4 is passed. Can I get a motion to approve 4.5, the ratification of the 2023-24 first interim budgets for Vista?
Michelle Bauer Bean.
Geronimo,
Michelle
Geronimo
Gayton?
second.
Okay. Any discussion?
So these were reflected in the presentation. So for Vista LA, it's about $350,000 in operating income, and for Horizon, just over 10,000. You're ratifying because LAUSD requires them early in November. You'll see the ratification for Orange County at their January board meeting.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Arturo. All in favor by saying aye, Jody Mullendale,
Aye.
Michelle Bauer Bean,
Aye.
Geronimo Gayton,
Aye.
Paul Vieira, aye. Action item 4.5 is passed. Board comments, 5.1. Is there any comments from the board? Okay. Can I get someone to make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
This is Jody Mullendale, so moved.
Paul Vieira, second. All in favor by saying aye? Aye.
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 Okay, meeting is adjourned.
Hey.